Heather Osgood. I hope that you're doing great today. Whether you're listening to this in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, I just hope that it finds you at a really great place at a time when you're really just able to focus and listen in to what I'm about to talk to you about, because it is such an important topic. Today, I want to discuss roadblocks. Now, in life, we all have roadblocks, whether it's something that we're trying to create in business, whether it's something that maybe we're trying to do with our health, or just a goal that we have in life. Roadblocks always seem to come up and they always seem to present themselves. Obviously, the real trick with roadblocks is getting over those roadblocks. Now, Jeff and I find it very interesting that the bulk of all of the roadblocks that have been expressed to us at the How to Quit Working program are the same 3 roadblocks. I find it fascinating that most of you are having these same 3 roadblocks. So I want to talk to you about what those roadblocks are and how we can work to overcome those roadblocks. Now, number 1, we hear from many of you that you are concerned about your idea. So you want to start a business, but you don't feel like you have an idea. Number 2, we hear from many of you that you would love to start a business, you just don't have the time to start a business. And number 3, you guessed it, you don't have the money to start a business. So I want to start at the top and just talk about the idea concept. Now, most people think that they have to have this really great idea to start a business. I think that a lot of people really almost have this idea mentality that is akin to like winning the lottery. When I come up with this great idea, it is going to make the most successful business in the world. It's going to make me a ton of money, and I am going to be rich, and my family is going to be rich because I have come up with the best idea ever. I think that we get this mentality from concepts like the pillow pet. I have 3 pillow pets at my house, and let me tell you, they drive me insane. I can't stand them. They're huge, and between 2 little kids, there is no way that we need to have 3 pillow pets, but yet we have 3 pillow pets. Pillow pets came on strong and they made a lot of money, and now you can buy a pillow pet just about anywhere. The one thing is nobody wants a pillow pet anymore. You know, we've all got them or we don't want them. And I think about all the different fads and, the little products that come into vogue. Like, of course, the Snuggie is a great one to laugh about, but Snuggie made a lot of money. I was thinking about hypercolor shirts. Do you remember those hypercolor shirts that were all kind of solid colored, and then when you get hot, really when you're sweaty, they turn a different color? Like, gross. Who really wants a shirt like that? But those hypercolor shirts were really popular for a while. There's all kinds of different things out there. Think about the Chia Pet, how big the Chia Pet was. Or, of course, we have to mention the Beanie Baby. There are so many little tiny fad products that come into vogue, and they come in for just a very small blip on the radar. And they do make money, for a time they make a lot of money, and then they tend to go away. And really, if you're trying to create a business that is centered around that one great big idea, chances are it's going to come and it's going to go. And so it's really just not worth putting any energy in. If you look at most businesses, most successful businesses are just your normal businesses. They're not these great ideas. They're not these great concepts. They're just a service or a product that people need. And so I just really want to encourage you to think about what your expertise is. What do you know more about than other people know more about? And you don't need to know more about it than everyone. You just need to know more about it than most people know about it, or some people know about it. You have a talent, you have an expertise that you could take and you could create into a business. So don't let that idea mentality really hold you down, because you don't need to come up with one great idea to have a business. You need to come up with a lot of really successful, stable base hits, not just one home run. So next time you find yourself really bogged down in this concept that you could start a business tomorrow if you just had the right idea, let that go and really just cling on to the idea that you offer something unique to the world. You offer you and you offer your expertise. So don't let that hold you back. The next roadblock or obstacle that people come up with is time. Now, I would say that if there were a motto for the 21st century, it would be this motto of, I don't have enough time. And I almost think that it is stylish to pretend that we are over busy and that we're overworked. And the reason I feel this way is because I just look around at all of my friends, at my families, at, just people that I come in contact with on a regular basis. And everyone is always saying, I just don't have time. I'm just too busy. And at the end of the day, we could talk about time management strategies. We could talk about how to effectively use your time. And those are all great things. And maybe at some point we will talk about those. But really, at the end of the day, it's just about your choices. Time is just about making choices. Each of us has 24 hours in a day. That's it. Nobody can buy more hours. Nobody can save more hours. If you don't use the hours up today, you're not going to have them tomorrow when you've got that big project due. Everybody just has 24 hours in a day. And so it really is just about your choices. It's about choosing different things with your time. And that is just such a crucial concept for you to embrace. We choose to do all kinds of things. We choose to watch TV. We choose to spend hours surfing the internet. We choose to spend hours on Facebook. We choose to spend hours doing all sorts of things in life. And you have to decide what kind of sacrifices you're willing to take in order to start a business. And there's no question about it. If you're currently working, if you're unemployed, if you don't have a job because you have decided to quit because you want to start a business, it doesn't matter who you are or what walk of life you're in. Time is an important element, and you are going to have to make sacrifices to start a business. You have to work really, really hard to get a business up and off the ground and succeeding. What we really need to examine is this idea, though, that the sacrifices that you're making today, these short-term pains, you're putting in for long-term gains. So now I don't work nearly as hard today as I did when I started my business. And part of the reason I don't work as hard today is because I have systems and processes in place. I have a plan of action and I know how to proceed. I know the things that are going to be profitable for me and the things that aren't going to be profitable for me. When you start a business, there's a lot of upfront time investment that needs to take place. So I want you to really examine how you're spending your time and decide what choices you want to make. I was listening to Tim Ferriss the other day, and he said that he does the bulk of his reading on his smartphone, on his mobile device, when he is waiting in lines. So in life, how often do we wait in lines? We wait in lines everywhere. And he does a lot of traveling. So he spends his travel time on this device reading. And I just thought that was such a great suggestion, because how many of us do so many things that we aren't maybe having that opportunity to gain knowledge in that time? Think about your commute. Are you using your commute to really gain knowledge? Are you using time when you have a smartphone or a device to do reading? And it's the same concept with your business. How could you make a sacrifice? How could you cut something out in order to create a business? I had a client recently who did this terrific, really detailed calendar of all of the time she was spending doing things. And we had to really go through that calendar and we had to examine what time was she spending and was that the appropriate time for what her goals were. So right now, if your goal is that you want to start a business, how are you making changes in your schedule to make that a top priority? How are you getting that to the top of your list and really making it happen? Time is all about choices. I don't ever want to ever hear anyone say they don't have enough time. Everybody has the ability to make time in their lives to do the things that are important for them. So really give that some consideration. The next roadblock that we encounter is this roadblock that is money. And isn't that such an easy story that we tell ourselves? Isn't it so convenient to always just fall back on that? If I just had the money, I could do whatever I wanted in life. And it is just such a load of bull. I'm sorry, but it really just is. Money does not do anything for you but just create different opportunities. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this concept of money and really how you're allowing that to affect you. If I said your child is going to die in the next 24 hours if you don't come up with $10,000, I am going to guess and I'm going to hope that you would have the ability to come up with $10,000. You would have the ability to be resourceful enough to come up with the money that you need. Now, I want to rephrase this thought. So I'm guessing probably a certain percentage of you out there have children. Probably a lot of you have children. And if your child's life was on the line, wouldn't you want to sacrifice for that? It's the same concept if you think about you putting so many hours into this job. So I know that with my first son, who is now 18, I spent at least 40, if not 60 hours a week working. I would drop him off at the before school program at about 7 a.m. and I would pick him up at the after school program about 6 p.m. Now, I was a single mom and I was working really hard, but I made that a choice. Obviously, I chose that that's what I wanted to do. And I missed so much. And that's part of the reason why I am making a different choice as I have these two little ones now, to really decide that it's important for me to spend time with them. If I told you that you were right now missing 50% of everything that happens in your child's life, you're missing 50% of their learning, of their playing, of their running, of their new experiences by going to this job, by working 40 or 60 hours a week with commute time, you are missing all of this life. You're missing their childhood. And if I told you you needed to come up with $50,000 so that you wouldn't miss your child's upbringing, you wouldn't miss their childhood, is that something that you would have the capacity to do? How can you become resourceful enough to create that money? It's not about having money. No one has enough money. Donald Trump doesn't have enough money. No one has enough money. It's about creating money. It's about being resourceful enough to acquire money. And I want you to really give that some thought. Give that some consideration. It is about creating money. It is about being resourceful with money. And if you haven't ever gone down this path and you feel very trapped by this idea, I want to open your mind up to it a little bit. I want you to really just think about, how do you create money? You create money in lots of different ways. Maybe you pay off debt. And all of a sudden now you don't have debt. You can put that money into savings. So maybe you're saving money. And I know that those are two of the hardest things to do, but really they work at the end of the day. Maybe you need to really examine your spending. Maybe you need to examine your lifestyle and make those choices so that your expenses aren't so great. Maybe you need to give up your week-long family vacation. Maybe you decide to go camping this year. Think about how you could create that money just with the money you have coming in. Maybe you decide that you need an SBA loan. There are SBA loans out there and they are not easy to get, but they are definitely out there. They're accessible to you. Maybe you decide that you need venture capital. Maybe you decide that you are going to beg and plead people out there who have money to invest in you and your ideas and what you're worth. There are ways to get money. There are ways to acquire it. You just have to decide that you want to be resourceful enough to actually get that money. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse. close, I want you to really just put your mind to it. Make the decision that you're not going to let that be a roadblock to you, and really decide how that could affect your ability to create what it is that you need. The other concept is to think about the amount of money you need to start a business doesn't have to be that great. I threw out the dollar amount of $50,000. You might have $100. I love the story of the business that I just sold last year. We started that business with $2,000 and worked it up to being nearly $1 million a year company. That's it. That's all we put in. You don't necessarily have to have a ton of money to start a business. So don't let that be a roadblock for you. My challenge for you this week is for you to really think about how you are changing the questions you ask yourself. So right now, I'm guessing a lot of you are saying, how could I ever start a business? When you listen to the How to Quit Working show, that's the first thought that comes in your mind. How could I do that? Most people think it's just not something that I could do. I don't have the ability. And you start telling yourself, why would I be able to do that? Or how could I do that? Or where would I get the time? Where would I get the ideas? Where would I get the money? You start really just coming up with this barrage of questions to yourself that are just totally self-defeating. I want you to change the questions you're asking yourself. Instead of saying, how could I start a business? How could I make that happen? Say, when can I start my business? When am I going to get started? Next, I want you to say, how am I going to come up with my idea? When am I going to come up with my idea? How am I going to create time and space in my life to make this happen? How am I going to be resourceful enough to get the money I need to make this dream a reality? You can do it. I know that you can do it. And the reason I know you can do it is because thousands and thousands of people out there are doing it every day. And you are no different. You're just as smart and you're just as capable. Really put thought into that. Really examine how you are allowing your questions, your internal monologue, to be self-defeating for you. It's not about the idea. It's not about the time, and it's not about the money. It's about you today making a decision to go for it and actually do it. So do it. I'm just telling you today, take that leap of faith. You have the ability. I am looking forward to talking to you next week. And until then, change your questions, get rid of those roadblocks.